Hello there, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Conversations with Christal. We are officially back from summer break with our Women in Real Estate series, and I am so excited to have Jennifer here with me. Hey there, Jennifer.
Hey, Christal. Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy that you are here. I'm going to share with you all a little bio and a little history about Jennifer, and then we're just going to kind of have a conversation. And she has an amazing story. And that was one of the reasons why I was so excited to have her here with me, because I feel like her story you'll be able to relate to, you'll be inspired by, and the different ways that she has moved within the real estate industry. And so, for all of that and so much more, you are in for a treat today. Jennifer has been a real estate agent for 18 years and went from not being able to sell a home her first 2 full years as a full time agent to being featured in the Wall Street Journal as one of the top 1% real estate agents in the United States. The success was great, but she also created a business that allowed her to take 6 weeks of vacation every single year without a team. Keep that in mind. She's never paid for a lead or used any of the traditional ways real estate agents are told to get clients, like cold calling, door knocked, or even posting all day on social media. I know you probably hear that a lot. Instead, she developed a system that brought clients to her like a magnet. And now she teaches other real estate agents across the United States and Canada how to do the same. So today, through Agent Grad School, and that's her online business school for real estate agents, she teaches the same step-by-step process that took her from hustling, trying everything and still not having any clients, to having more clients than she could handle, coming to her and becoming one of the top selling solo agents in the country. She believes every real estate agent who wants a successful business and a great life outside the business can have one too. Welcome, Jennifer.
Hey, thank you. I wish you could like walk around with me always saying that. So that was really well done. Thank
With
you.
like a little megaphone.
Yeah.
Right.
Thanks a lot. I sound amazing. No,
Well,
I'm excited to have this conversation with you today.
yeah, this is so good. So I actually want us to go back to kind of what I read in the beginning of your intro. Tell us about those first couple of years as an
Oh,
agent. Yes, this
so
is what needs to be heard.
here's where I think what we all do when we are embarking on something new. I think we
Mhm.
all come with this really high expectation of how it's going to
Yes.
go. And I
Yes.
think that is actually a good thing
Mhm.
because otherwise, I don't know that we would do the things that we like, right? Everything is
Good point.
harder. Everything is harder than we think it's going to be.
Yes.
So that also could lead to disappointment because you're like, right? It could lead to beating yourself up and saying, this isn't for me, or I'm not good at this, or all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Um, so that was me in the very beginning. Like
Mhm.
I was super young. I had graduated college. I had been in my first job, and I just knew immediately that this
Mhm.
was not the life that I wanted. Like, I didn't want to do the 9 to 5. I didn't want to commute. I didn't like want to be beholden. And so
Yes.
I didn't know at first what I wanted to do. And so I kind of scrambled around a little bit trying to figure that out. But long story short is I landed on real estate, and I really went in with the best intentions. I had bought my first house. I was like, this seems super easy. My real estate
Right.
agent made like, I think like $5,000 at the time. And I was like, holy, this would be so easy. Right. And so I quit
Yeah.
my job with no plan
Okay.
B
Okay.
and became a real estate agent and thought all the clients would come to me, all the money would come to me, and suddenly have all this free time.
Yeah.
And as probably your listeners may have experienced themselves, that certainly didn't happen. What
Mhm.
actually
Mhm.
happened was I didn't get any clients for 2 years.
Wow.
And in that 2 years, I had to take a job slinging beers on dollar beer nights to pay
Mhm.
my mortgage that I
Yeah.
just bought the house. I just had bought a
Right.
house.
Right.
So it was a really tough 2 years. And there was a lot of time in there that there was these decision points. I call
Mhm.
them decision points because
I
it's like a
like that.
crossroad. It's like, are you
Mhm.
gonna go left and figure this out? Or are you gonna go
Yes.
right and get like a new job and quit on yourself?
Yeah.
And for me, I said, I eventually got to the point where I was like, there's no plan B for me. I need to
Okay.
make this work. I'm going to make this work. And
Yeah.
I think that's what took me 2 years to, I don't know what the right word is, believe, commit to.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it took me 2 years to get that, I don't know, assured that I could do it.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Not because of any outside validation, but
Mm-hmm.
because I finally said to myself, like, if they can do it, I can do it.
Yes.
And then I
Yeah.
went and I did it.
And you did it. I
There was a
love that.
shift in my
Yeah.
mind about
Yes.
what I believed was possible for me.
Mm. Do you
Not because
remember?
of the
No, go
outside,
ahead. Yeah.
not because of the external validation. It wasn't suddenly like I sold a bunch of houses.
Right.
That came second. It was
Yes.
this belief in that my ability without having any outside proof that
Yes.
changed everything.
I love that you shared that so much because as you were sharing that part of the story, like I envisioned that's the energy that drove you to start converting, right?
Yes.
The assuredness, the belief, the commitment, right? Like, and so I imagine like what maybe towards the end of like year two, maybe you fell it more and more into that those belief systems and that energy, and that's why you started seeing results in year three.
Yeah, I think what it was is that from that place,
Mm-hmm.
action that produced the results that I wanted started to happen.
Yeah.
An example is I actually started to invest in myself.
Mm,
Again,
that's a good
without
one.
having the proof that I would be able to pay it,
Yeah.
right? I said to myself, like, I've done 2 years. I've tried everything everybody else is trying. I've tried to do it on my own. And then
Mm-hmm.
there was this moment where I was like, okay, that's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
am I going to make this a business? Am I going to make this a hobby? Am I going to go
Mm,
back to the 9 to 5? And based on which of those options of roads I want to go down, I have to change the actions that I'm doing, that I've done for the last 2 years. I
yeah.
have to stop looking around at what everybody else is doing what everybody's telling me, and doing all the things that I can get for free to figure out, right?
Yeah.
Like I would drive to, back then, this was 18 years ago, they would have these like half day seminars that do you remember these? Have you, and you would like drive to like
Yes.
a hotel like an hour away, and somebody would give you some free spiel for like 3 hours and then pitch you on something, right?
Oh.
So I
Mm-hmm.
would show up to all this stuff and I would get the free stuff, and then I would never buy anything because I didn't have any money,
Yeah.
right? Doing that for
Mm-hmm.
2 years proved it didn't work.
Yeah.
So there's this moment where you
Mhm.
have to decide, like, what is it that I want
Yeah.
and what am I willing to do differently
Mm-hmm.
than what I've done to get different results?
Yeah.
And
Those
from
are some
that
powerful
place,
questions.
action, new action, and results can happen.
Yes. Oh, that's
But
so
I think people
good.
get it. I think people get it backwards. I think they are
Yeah.
not willing to invest in themselves, not willing to
Yes.
commit into themselves, not willing to, until they get proof. And
Right.
it's the opposite. You don't
Yes.
get proof until you believe it strongly enough.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That was like a little sermon. So I just love that you shared that because it is the truth. And I really love how much we're talking about mindset because that really is the driver of the results that we create in our lives. And it's obviously in our businesses, what we're talking about today. And so I love that you shared that, the first 2 years looked nothing like you thought that they would. So tell me a little bit about, okay, we see the shift that happened mentally, right? Now, you never had a team, if I'm remembering
No,
that correctly.
nope,
So
no team.
what did that look like? Like, also, what made you decide not to? Because obviously you could have created one, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that.
Like here, for me, I looked at being a real estate agent as being a business owner.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So for me, I said, like, that's to me the first step. Yes, I happen to own a business and be in business to sell real estate.
Yeah.
But the way that I looked at everything was through being a business owner. And I don't know about
Mm-hmm.
you, but like if anybody's listening to this that's like been part of another business, there's not a formula. There's not
Right.
a book you can read that's like, do this, then do this, and then hire
Right.
this person, right? Yet in
Yeah.
real estate, we expect and are told that there's magical formula and this magical plan that we all should follow, and it all means
Mhm.
that like if you don't have a team, you're not successful,
Yeah.
or to be successful means to have a team, right?
Yes.
And so for me,
Yes.
I was like, but I don't want to have a team. I'm not saying teams
Mhm.
are wrong. I'm saying
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
me,
Yeah.
I didn't want to manage a bunch of people. For
Yeah.
me, where I loved being was with my clients. And that was
Mm.
where I could make the biggest impact, both in my life financially, like that's where I could like, turn the business over, but also the
Yes.
impact in their lives.
Yeah.
And so there was a match there. And I was like, I have
Mhm.
to stay in this seat. And I
Mm.
and I enjoy being in this seat.
Mhm.
And everything else, I'm going to hire.
Yes.
I say the word team, but I don't even want to use that word because it's so associated with not what a team in a normal business looks like, right?
Right. Right.
Like I'm going to hire people who support me
Mhm.
in making sure that I stay in that role,
Yes.
but not the typical team.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And so one thing I think that I wish I could change about real estate is like, there is no formulaic have to, even
Right.
though that's what we're told over and over again. You
Mhm.
have to do that. You have to be on social media. You have
Yes.
to grow a team. You have
Mhm.
to become a listing agent. That was another thing
Mhm.
that I was like, I'm terrible at listing houses. Nobody's choosing me. I look like I'm 12. I have no experience. Like, not a good plan for me. Right. And so for me,
Yeah.
I zigged when they zagged. Right. So if they said like be a
Mm.
listing agent, I'm like, okay, well, if they're telling everybody that, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go do the opposite.
Uh-huh. I'm gonna go
And
help
that
the
worked
buyers. I
for
love
me.
that.
Nobody was picking up buyers, not just buyers, but first time home buyers. Every
Yeah.
agent in my office at the time was like, buyers are liars, right? Like, do you remember that? Like, buyers are liars. I'm like,
That's
no, they're not. They're
hilarious.
lying to you, but they're not lying to me.
Right.
I'm gonna, right? And so
Oh.
decided to like listen to my own intuition
Yeah.
and grow my own business the way I wanted to grow it.
Mm.
And yeah, it's really hard. And yeah, it felt like it was swimming upstream. But I'm so
Mhm.
grateful for those 2 years that I spent doing everything I was told to do because
Mhm.
it gave me the conviction to listen to myself because I was like, been there, done that, not interested.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. This is so good because it is a reminder for us because many times we do know in our heart, especially the more information that we learn about the industry, right? We do have like that still small voice or that knowing about maybe what we should try or what really works for us, like that thing that makes us special in the market. And what I hear is that you found that, like it wasn't starting off like as a listing agent, like buyers were your sweet spot and they connected with you and not wanting to build a team in the traditional sense and being okay with that. I love with you zigged when they zagged. I love that so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, and it's hard sometimes to listen to all the noise. It's like the noise is so
Mhm.
noisy that it's hard to hear yourself.
Yes.
And I want you to know that like I'm not suggesting that anything I say is like proposing that like teams are not the way, right? Like I
Right.
just knew
Right.
myself well enough to know that like I'm a terrible manager. I'm still a terrible manager. And it was not a skill that I wanted to like cultivate because it felt
Yes.
like I was writing with my left hand, even though I'm right-handed, right? Like
Yeah.
I could
Yeah.
learn how to do that, but why not just pick up the pencil with my right hand and make the impact that I'm already like easily more making? Does that make
Ex-
sense? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, and I'm glad you said that because sometimes it's almost like we need to be given permission to do that, right? To listen to ourselves and that, I think we're so afraid of doing something wrong, or doing it the wrong way. And it's like,
Yeah.
remember, we get to decide what wrong means. Like we get to define that. And is there really a right or wrong way? Maybe it's just your way, which is what you're describing. I love that.
Yeah. And I think to your point about whether it's right or wrong, I think we have to let go of that and just be like, I'm
Mhm.
getting feedback. Does this
Yeah.
feel good to me? Is this a muscle I want to
Yes.
exercise and create or
Yeah.
not, right?
Yeah.
So like when I made these decisions, right, it didn't mean that the whole rest of the journey was like skipping down a beautifully lined flower trail,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Like I
Yes.
hit dead ends. I got scared in the
Mhm.
woods. Like I
Mhm.
got lost.
Yeah.
But at least I had my compass and my GPS system, which is inside of me, to tell me where I want to go and then get back on track. And
Yeah.
I think that's something that we have to remember is like really that asking yourself that question, is this a muscle that I want to flex
Yes.
and train
Mhm.
and get better at
Mhm.
or not? And there will be things, right? Like you will have to pick things that you're not good at, and you will
Right.
have to learn to get it done. But
Right.
you get to pick which things those are.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's so good. Okay. Tell me a little bit about, because what I'm hearing in your story is you were a great relationship builder, right? And so a lot of my listeners, they love a relationship angle as well. And so tell me about like what was like your special sauce in that area? Like how did you cultivate like that closeness with your clients?
Yeah,
And you know what I mean? Yeah, talk to us a
yeah.
little bit about that.
I think, and this is sometimes in hindsight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like the
Yeah.
way I describe it in hindsight is not how it necessarily felt or looked every step of the way. But I
Yes.
think what I finally came to grips with was um, just being myself.
Mm.
For two
Mhm.
years, I was wearing these like weird Chico suits that like weren't me. Like, listen, I love Chico. Like, I still shop there. But do you see what I'm saying? Like, as what it
Oh
was like
my
trying
gosh.
to be somebody that I wasn't.
That's the best. Yeah.
And now, right, I can show up in like my Madewell, jeans and top,
Right.
and I connect with my clients because I'm me, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
really deciding like who do I want to be to these people? I always say that in order to make a connection, and
Mhm.
relationships are connection, you need
Yeah.
two pieces. You need two halves. It's like a
Mhm.
magnet. I always say in my classes, it's like a magnet. You have a plus and
Mhm.
a minus. You need
Mhm.
both. And so
Yes.
you have to decide first and foremost what magnetic field are you going to put out into the world?
Yeah, that's good.
That is what activates people wanting to come towards you or repels.
I
But if you
love
are
that.
just sitting there, like not activated,
Yes.
nobody can find you, nobody can see you,
Yes.
nobody's going to care,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't about being somebody else, it was about being true to who I am, right?
Mhm.
So I'm an
Mhm.
introvert, I'm
Mhm.
shy.
Yeah.
I love sitting behind a computer and tinkering with things, but I'm not going to
Yes.
go like to a networking party and end up with any phone numbers. I'm going to walk
Mhm.
in, turn around, and walk home and get back in my car. Right. So, like, those are the
Yes.
types of things where, like, I just had to know, like, I cannot build a business on networking events or door knocking or cold calls for
Yes.
me, because
Right.
that would mean building a business that, like, is so exhausting for an introvert.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you really just have to start with, like, who do I want to be and who do I want to help? And then you need to
Mhm.
put yourself in the pool of those people,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Like I always say, there's like a land of 1,000 lakes in real estate. You just got to pick the one you want to go in.
That's right.
And then you got to invite people to go there with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with the other lakes. We're not,
Right.
there's nothing wrong. But, and so for me at the time, I was like 23 when I was first starting. I was 25 by the time that 2 terrible years went by.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I had to look at my life and say, like, what is the path of least resistance? Right? I
Mhm.
kept going on listing appointments in these big mansions and not getting the listing. And I was
Yeah.
surprised.
Yeah. Mhm.
It didn't make any sense.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, one thing, when I was investing in myself, one of the investments that I made was with a man named Dan Kennedy, who
Mhm.
he asked me a question: why should somebody choose you? Right. And when I
Mhm.
was thinking about it, about those fancy listings that I would somehow end up in, right?
Yeah.
And they wouldn't pick me. I literally could not come up with I'm like, here's all the reasons you shouldn't pick me.
Mm. Yeah.
right? So then I had to, I was like, that's the lake I can't swim in.
Yeah.
Too deep for me
Yeah.
at the moment.
At the moment, right.
So what does my life look like?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm 25 years old. I just bought my first house. I haven't sold a house. Everyone I know is renting. Huh. When you think about putting all that together,
Mm-hmm.
I've done something that none of the people I know have done.
Yes.
I've bought a house. I
Yes.
may not have sold a house, but I bought a
Mm-hmm.
house.
Mm-hmm.
So I can at least teach people who've never done it before how to do that.
Yes.
And that was my magic moment. But that
Mm-hmm.
only came because of what I said earlier.
Yes.
I could never have gotten there without believing in myself and telling
Mm-hmm.
myself that there is no plan B. I'm jumping in with 2 feet and
Yeah.
I'm going to figure this out.
Yes. Oh, that's
It's
so
from that
good.
place that the answer came.
Yes. In your own little lake,
Yeah. I'm just
right?
swimming around,
Mm-hmm.
having a grand old time.
Yeah.
Not
Yes.
really. Wasn't a grand old time at the time, right?
Oh my
But there was
gosh.
this moment when you kind of start, like, you just like stop all the noise and you start
Mm-hmm.
getting really quiet with yourself.
Yeah.
It does, like, there's a moment where you're like, okay. And you can literally hear yourself. And then you're like, okay, I can go do this. But if
Yeah.
you're constantly looking at the external for validation, for the answers, right? Like, that will never end. And one thing
Yes.
I want to tell clients is like, or your listeners is like, um, when I finally got to 6 figures, that was my
Mm-hmm.
goal. Right. And then
Mm-hmm.
eventually, by accident, truly just doing what I was doing more often and better, got to that $1 million per year mark again without a team.
Wow.
Um, you know, nothing changes. So if you're going to beat yourself up every step of the
Mm-hmm.
way and you're going to constantly look for external validation,
Yeah.
there's nothing that can satisfy that.
Yeah, that's so true.
And you'll get
Yeah.
thrown off course
Mm-hmm. You're so
every
right
step of
about
the
that.
way.
You keep that at every level because people think that like you have less problem. I think you have different types of problems as your income level increases, but you don't like the problems don't like go away, it's just different
No,
types. Yes. Yeah.
different types. And
Mm-hmm.
frankly, like, I don't know who it was, like maybe Tony Robbins or something. It's like the bigger your life, the bigger your problems, right? So
Yes.
like when I had a huge business, I mean, I had to risk embarrassment. Like
Mm-hmm.
people in the agent community were looking at me, my clients were looking at me, right? Like
Yeah.
there's so much more at risk
Yeah.
when versus when nobody knew who the heck I was,
Right.
right? I could
Yeah.
fail in private,
Yeah.
but
Right. Oh, that's
when
good.
you get but when you get to being, one of the top agents in your market,
Yeah.
everyone's watching you. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're constantly looking for external validation, you're not going to get it because they're watching
Yeah.
you for that. You're
Yes.
the leader.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so good. I love everything that you're saying. This is such a good conversation because I think many times just by default, many of us end up looking for that like external validation. And if you want to really turn this, business into your little empire, you're going to have to find that within more times than not.
Yeah. One thing
Yeah.
I hear so often from our students is like, how do you create boundaries?
Hmm.
How do you like not get pulled all over the place and stuff like that? Like that's a big thing within real estate. It's like I got a
Hmm.
question this morning that was like, I see these top agents like step away from their life every time a client calls, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
well, wait a second, like we can't set that up. So you have to
Right.
have strong conviction. You have to be willing to say, no, this is my boundary. This is how I'm going
Right.
to do it. Right? No, I
Yeah.
can't talk to you at 2, but I'm happy to talk to you at 4:30.
Mhm,
Right? Like
mhm.
those kinds of things not only help you have a great business and a great life, but
Yeah.
also really helps create um like a business where you become like a, I don't know what the right word, but like more of a guide, more of a counselor, right? Like
Yes.
you can't call your doctor, your lawyer, your financial
Right.
planner, your dentist all the
Mhm,
time and expect that they're
mhm.
going to answer.
Yeah, that's so true.
Why, if you want to make doctor money, lawyer money, dentist money, why are
Mhm.
you acting like, somebody who anybody could just reach at any time?
Yeah, that's such a good
No,
analogy. Yes. The
it's not
expectations.
necessary.
Yeah, that's so true. Well, I love that you actually went here because I literally was going to ask you how the bigger that your business got, how were you able to kind of like protect the relationships that were most important to you, like family wise, friends, right? Like, and then I think obviously the boundaries come into play, but tell me what that looked like once you started to really scale.
I would say first, it wasn't pretty.
Mm,
I don't
mhm.
know how most like I don't know how your listeners or you learn, but I learned by like negative experiences are my best
Uh-huh, I
teachers,
do too.
right?
Yeah, mhm.
Like I'm
Yep.
like, why can't I learn when I have a good thing? No. I have to learn when everything's terrible. So I will say that like it was like a bob and weave type of situation,
Okay.
right?
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
really bad at it for a long time and I was just like,
Mhm.
okay, again, this isn't going to work.
Right, not
Like
sustainable.
same cycle that I had
Mhm,
before, right?
mhm.
This is not how I want my life to be. This is
Yeah,
not how I want my business to be. What do
yeah.
I have to put in place? And this is where we get to decide again who we are, who
Yes.
we want to be to our clients, the type of
Yeah,
business and the life that we want. And I say, okay, what do I need to do to create that?
yeah.
And listen, it's not overnight. Like I would do one or
Mhm.
two things, or when I would have a situation that really bothered me, rather than just feeling like I can't do anything about it, like victimizing that, I said
Mhm.
to myself, how can I avoid this in the future? What could I have
Yeah,
said differently? What process could I put in place?
yeah.
What boundary do I need to set 3 steps ahead
That's right.
so that we don't
Mhm.
end up here? And that's when I started to create systems in my business so
Mhm.
that everything ran so efficiently. And that's how I accidentally got to $1 million a year
Oh, okay.
because those systems like created that scale. And
Yes.
part of that is also being able to create that balance for yourself. It
Yeah.
was not always great. Let me tell you,
Mhm.
I did not go on vacation during the spring market. Well, actually,
Mhm.
I would eventually. But you also have to start picking your vacation time. So, like in my
Mhm.
market,
Mhm.
August was notoriously slow every year.
Mhm.
First 7 years, I panicked every August. I'm never going to sell a house. Where is everybody? It's so quiet. And then finally, one year, I was like, oh, I've been here before. Maybe I can actually, this would be a great time to take a break.
Right. I
So then I
love the
started to.
I love that what you're saying there though, but you're like 7 years in, I was panicking every
Yeah,
year before then, but then I was like, hold on. Like I can actually do something with this time. Like nothing, this isn't a sign that like everything is falling apart. I can do something with this. I love that.
so that's just an example of like, 7 years in, I saw a pattern that
Mhm.
I was then willing to do something about
Yeah.
finally. It's
Mhm.
not pretty. It
Yeah.
wasn't 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. And so I
Mhm.
think this is the thing I want people to get is like, this is a journey. This is a process.
Yes.
There's no at the top of the mountain,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
this is your life, and building a business is part of it. So
Yes.
how can you do it in a way that like gets you the results that you want? Uh, yes, you're going to have to do scary things. Yes, you're going to have to
Mhm.
learn new skills. Yes, you're going to have terrible time. One of
Yeah.
our mutual coaches always says 50-50. Life is
Mhm.
50-50.
That's
Whether you
right.
make zero money a year, $100,000 a year, or $1 million a year, I promise you,
Yes.
50-50 is still coming for you.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
do
that's
not beat yourself
good.
up or think that you're terrible or quit on
Mhm.
yourself when it's that 50% of no fun.
Yeah. Such a good reminder. Such a good reminder. Okay, so like we're progressing along your journey beautifully. So now tell me the shift between moving from being like an active agent to primarily, coaching real estate
Yeah.
agents to build their business.
So here's what happened. I got to the point, this was 2010,
Hmm.
um, where I had so many clients, I literally could not handle them all. And they were coming to me. I was doing no
Mm.
network. I was not doing any of the things that like we're told to do to get leads. They were literally just coming to me.
Hmm.
And I was like, I don't really want to build a team. What's my other option? Right. At this point, again, I have options. Do I want to build this road, or this road?
Yeah.
And the road I decided to build was a brokerage road.
Okay.
So I decided to open a brokerage, and then I needed to train those agents who came to my
Mm-hmm.
brokerage.
Right.
And I said to them, look, I'm going to give you my leads that are coming to me. So
Mm-hmm.
if I'm like, these aren't random leads off the internet that a stranger to any of us. This is
Right.
people who said, you got to work with this woman. And so if I'm going to hand you
Yes.
this lead, you got to work them just like I would.
Yes.
I want them to have the same experience. And
Yeah.
so I had this whole system built. And so I taught
Yeah.
them the system,
Mm-hmm.
and they became wildly successful. My first
Mm-hmm.
two Agent Grad School people, that's what I called the training system inside my brokerage, they are
Mm-hmm.
now top producing agents in their own right. I guess
Wow.
10 years later, 12 years later. Is that right?
Wow.
God. And so I said to myself, I never wanted to grow a big brokerage. I
Mm-hmm.
always wanted to have a small boutique brokerage for various reasons.
Yeah.
And I got to the point where I had enough agents and I didn't want to bring on anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And they were working the system I was teaching. And I was like, wow, like I could sit here for the rest of my life and I could have, my 12 agents, 15 agents, and I could have everything humming.
Yeah.
And I was still, by the way, I was still selling myself. So not only was I
Okay.
running a brokerage, but I was still selling. And again, the only way
Okay.
you get there is systems and
Yeah.
boundaries.
Yeah.
Um, and I said, what do I want to do for the rest of my 20 years? Like I had 20 years left of my career, maybe
Mm-hmm.
25. I already had 20 years in. What do I want to
Mm-hmm.
do? Another
Yeah.
decision point. What road do I want to go down?
Yeah.
And I said, I think that this is working so well inside this tiny brokerage. I really think that this could help a lot of people throughout the country.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had options, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so I chose to just take what had been successful in my little, tiny brokerage in Washington, D.C., and put it
Mm.
online and spread that to any agent across the
Yeah.
country
Yeah.
who said, that's the business I want to build. I want to be a solo entrepreneur. I
Mm-hmm.
want to do the work to get to 6 figures,
Yeah.
maybe grow it to 7 figures. I don't want to have a huge team, but I want
Mm-hmm.
to have some support people along the way to
Yeah.
help me be in the driver's seat, right? Like,
Yes.
and that's possible. And I want to have a life.
Yes. Yes.
And so that's now what I do is I help people
Wow.
accomplish that.
I love how that I just love how your journey like and I love your vulnerability and sharing that it didn't look a certain way, right? It didn't look just like all daisies and like this yellow brick road path for you, like paved for you. And so I really appreciate like sharing the parts of it that didn't always look the way that you wanted it to. But more than anything, what I love about your interview today is how you kept coming back to asking yourself like what's right for me, right? What's natural for me? And I think that has served you so very well because look at you today. And so I want to make sure that we do not leave without sharing with the listeners how they can connect with you and then how they can maybe even get more information about Agent Grad School. And just, yeah, if you don't mind, share with them a little bit and then we'll close.
Sure. So you can find me over at agentgradschool.com. And I share stuff like this all the time in what I call my inner circle. It's like this
Mhm.
free email list that I have. I email once a week, maybe twice every now and then, but no spam. So
Yeah.
it's called the Agent Grad School Inner Circle. It's totally free to join. And we have conversations like this that we've just had here by email. And so
Mhm.
you can join that at agentgradschool.com/inner circle.
Okay.
And that's how we can connect.
Yeah, that's perfect. And everyone, I'll make sure that that link is in the show notes. So whether you're listening to the podcast or watching us on YouTube, just check the show notes below for that link to just connect with Jennifer. Thank you so much for being here. It has been like an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Christal. And can I give you a little plug?
Oh my gosh, of course.
And you can edit this out if you don't want it here. But I want to tell you guys. So how I know Christal is because we were both certified as coaches
Yeah.
using in the same school.
Mhm.
And I met Christal, and when I was looking for mindset coaches for my school, online business
Mhm.
school for real estate agents.
Yeah.
So, Christal, I just want to say that you have been such a pleasure. You have such great topics. you connect with our students, you really do help them. And I just want to thank you for being such a great coach and asking me to be on here. But thank you for also being a part of my world beyond this 30-minute podcast. So thank you.
Oh my, I receive all of that because before we hit record today, Jennifer and I were actually talking a little bit about, the agents in her school, and it really is my honor to be with them. It's a great group of agents who I know are going to be so successful because they're under like your tutelage, and you've definitely put in the work and created the systems to really create something that truly works. And the way that you've set Agent Grad School up to really support your agents through all aspects of the business, money management, mindset, like the actual, steps to build their business and so much more. So everything about what you're doing just jived with me. And so I was so excited at the opportunity to work with you. And I love that. Yeah, we're like a few months in now in our work relationship. And so it's a pleasure. But thank you. I do receive those kind words.
Yeah, you're an awesome coach. I know for your people who you coach through your own business, but what I've mainly seen is what you do for our students, and it's truly incredible. So thank you for being such a great coach, truly.
Oh, I receive all of that. Thank you so much. All right, everyone. That is it for our interview today with Jennifer. And remember, connect with her at the link in the show notes below. Like you've heard firsthand from her today. So it really was a pleasure just to spend this time with you. All right, everyone. Bye.